Sonny.
Hey, we're live. How's everybody?
We're live.
Hello.
Check.
Good morning.
Hello.
All right, let's go around the room. Megan, where are you coming from?
At the moment, I'm coming from Dubai, so yeah, I'm home a little bit, and I've just been in Australia. So yeah, it's a
Nice.
very happy Monday.
Nice, love it. Ronnie, where are you at?
I'm in Irvine, California for the Masters Nationals. Just got finished, but I'm from
Yep.
North Dakota.
We're going to do a recap on that. Beautiful. Bruno, where are you at today?
I'm talking out of Coral Springs, South Florida.
Coral Springs, South Florida. So you and I'm in Boston, so we're in the same time zone. So for us, it's 8 a.m. Ronnie, it's 5 a.m. for you. Megan, what time is it for you?
It's 4 p.m. at the moment, so
4 p.m.
Monday Arvo.
All right, there we go. Well, we got some people already in the chat, so let's have a look. Who we got here? Julian. What's up, Julian? I don't know where Julian's at, but he's in the chat, so that's cool. Sonny's at a meet. Like I was saying a second ago, I'm not sure who has a meet on a Monday morning, but Sonny's at a meet right now. He's live. He's on the pool deck. He tried to get in the chat here, but couldn't do it. So that's all good. We're going to talk swimming. That's why we're all here, I guess. So let's just talk some swimming. Ronnie, let's start with you because you were just at the U.S. Masters Nationals, and you're now a new Masters Nationals champion. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me too. It's awesome.
Yeah. So give us a recap on kind of your weekend. How'd it go for you?
There were some ups and downs, but that's breaststroke. There's a pun intended there. But it was good because I think with Masters swimming, there's a lot of context. And so I think being able to overcome things like that is just one of the lessons you learn while you're swimming. And it doesn't matter how fast you're going, if you're breaking world records or not. It's kind of managing all those emotions and managing your life as an adult. And I think I did that well. So being faced with challenges and having to overcome something that, we don't always get in our daily lives. So, we do get in our daily lives. So it's a good tool to learn, and swimming is a great, platform for that.
Yeah, it's interesting the amount of people that do it, right? Like Masters swimming is huge in America, especially. It's not something that I've ever been drawn to, I guess, for me, because I swam kind of at that Olympic level. I always felt like every time I got in the water, I was nowhere near that level. So it was just like, for me, it was always like, why would I want to go back in there and try and replicate that? And I know that's not the way a lot of the Masters swimmers think, right? Like they don't think like, they're not trying to replicate what they were in the past. They're just trying to be who they are right now, right?
Right. And, it's hard to find a sport that can put together an event for 2,500 people from ages 18 to 101 who can still do this, so it shows what swimming can be in the future. And, that's just including those age groups. So it was a massive event. I believe it was the biggest U.S. Masters meet in history. And it was really fun to be a part of that. And just giving that context, maybe you're not going to swim as fast as you used to. And I wasn't really sold on that idea at first either, but seeing what it can do, how it can fit into your life, there are so many life-saving qualities about swimming. And I think, even the mental health part of it for people, if it gives them prerogative to stay committed to something, I think that's valuable. And if you put the times aside, you can really find some value to the experience. And looking up to the older athletes is really inspiring, and seeing how they stay committed. And, every now and then I see something and I don't know if we can put a limit on what older athletes can do. We're seeing younger athletes swim faster and faster. So at what point can we start to see older athletes swim faster and faster? I think it's about managing your life. And I think that's an area that people haven't really explored yet. So as a kid, we're all kind of on the same level as far as, our lifestyles. And in college, people have harder, academic loads and things like that. But in the adult life, I mean, you're not earning scholarships, but you have a job that pays you. And can you manage that? And can you incorporate that into your training and into your lifestyle? And I think that's the sauce that people are looking for. How can I manage my life and swim? And I think it's possible. we're seeing more and more of that. So I talked
Yeah.
to Brandon Fisher this weekend, and he's a
Mm,
guy who's still performing at a really high level with a
mm.
full-time job.
Yeah.
And at one point you were going to college, and that's a full-time load.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So I
true.
think adults just need to be a little more creative about how they can incorporate their training into their
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some fast swimming. And speaking of older athletes, Bruno, I think we saw the birth of another comeback again from Anthony Irvin on the weekend. He jumped up on the block, and I saw a tweet that you put out, kind of congratulating him, but not really wanting him to come back for Paris because we all know what Anthony's capable of, right?
Yeah, I got so excited. I'm so excited every time I see Anthony stepping on the blocks, and I really wanted to drop a hashtag comeback Tony, but I feared for my life. I still did it, but I'm afraid he might actually come back and kick my ass next year in Paris. So I'm not posting anything else.
Well, I mean, I think everybody should be afraid, right? We've all seen Anthony do it before, 16 years apart, where he wins Olympic gold medals, and here we go again. He's coming back, and I was watching him jump up on the block on a video, and okay, he's not in the shape that he wants to be in or should be in for kind of a run at the Olympics, but like when he gets in the water, it's still Anthony. Oh,
It just floats,
yeah.
because I think everything Anthony does in the water just converges in speed. He's so natural trying to sprint. He's so natural finding speed in the water that it's very different from actually the most of us who have to actually train and struggle a little bit to find that pace, that stroke,
Mm-hmm.
and that efficiency while trying to swim fast in the water. You're right about the start. The start gives up a little bit of a retired vibe and just coming
Mm-hmm.
back to have fun at a meet. But that should be an easy fix.
Yeah, no, I think he made his intentions pretty clear on a social message he put out. He's like, I think he basically said he's coming back, so it's happening. Megan, you ever thought about swimming masters?
Absolutely not.
It's not.
um,
Why not?
I think I'm too competitive. Like I would get back in and want to feel like you said,
Yeah,
like I used to feel, and I
right.
just can't deal with that. And I think I don't know. I enjoy talking about swimming a lot more now than
Hmm.
and social swimming, and I don't think like going back to actually racing again. I don't think I'd enjoy it as much, and it's much better like from the outside at the moment. So I'll enjoy that for a bit for
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah. What about some highlights, Ronnie, of people that you saw other than Anthony jump up on the block? I saw a bunch of other people there, like Natalie Coughlin was there. Like, give us some highlights of some people that were there.
Yeah, seeing Natalie there was really exciting, and just knowing that they can come back and, like you said, not have maybe that expectation to swim as fast as they used to.
Mhm.
But if you're inspiring one person on deck, there's something to that,
Right.
and your performance and how you carry yourself and how you walk around, and I think that's inspiring. And even I got the chance to talk to Anthony and how he can be where he's at right now, swimming yards what he would need to do in meters, and being completely undaunted, can say to you with a straight face, looking at Paris, even though he's not nearly on the performance level that he needs to. As Bruno mentioned, that doesn't mean in a year things can't be different.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's exciting to see that. I know in my event, Ben Kono, he went 51.5 in the 100
Mm.
breast, and
Wow.
that's crazy, and to do that at a Masters meet just kind of fires everyone up. Um, you know, and to see a lady who's 101 swim a 200 backstroke, it's
Damn,
just
101 swimming a 200 backstroke? Megan, come
right.
on. There's hope there, girl.
It just doesn't give you a lot of excuses when when you're at a third of that in life. I feel like I'm not even halfway through their career and can really have some perspective on what's going on. And like I said, it's probably more about managing life and
Mm.
fitting that in. And I don't think adults have been creative enough in that regard to get over that. And I think there's a lot of mental stigma, is that I'm too old for this, and or I don't have that competitive drive. Well, yeah, it's just a little different. So
Yeah, that's cool.
just I don't know. You know, Carlos Trevini, he's 60 and he went 58 in the 100 breast. You know, he's
Oh,
almost beating
damn.
me. So it's like if I touch
Wow.
the wall and look over and there's a guy my mom's age, you know, just crushing it. And he's
Wow.
actually still playing with his technique, which I think is, you know, to be innovative with technique. He's not taking a breath every stroke. He's holding his breath in breaststroke.
Wow.
So will we see more of that? And we're getting exposed to that by a 60-year-old. Like, come
Mm,
on, if we need to be more innovative
that's cool.
at every level.
That's
So
cool.
things like that are definitely a few highlights.
I like it. I like it a lot. Something else that we saw on the weekend that came out, Bruno, was kind of a photo of Caleb Dressel in a racing suit down in Texas, looking like he was part of a U.S. kind of contingent working on some relays and stuff. It was a little bit secretive, but the photo's out there now, man. Caleb's back in the pool and obviously ready to go.
And that's awesome. I think everybody was glad to see it. We're still not really sure about what happened that caused him to just be so secluded for the last few months. But I'm definitely glad to see him in the water with a racing suit and smiling.
Yeah.
You know, we all know the type of toll all this competitive lifestyle and performance based lifestyle can cause. And I'm certainly glad he's back. And one thing that caught my attention is that he's looking kind of skinny, you know.
Mm,
And I
mm,
think I think he can be so much faster if he's not carrying all that beef across the pool, you know.
mm, mm.
I
Yeah.
think I think we're about to see some great performances from him.
Yeah, skinny is the new jacked, man. Skinny's catching on around the world these days.
Yeah, skinny legend, right?
Yeah.
Shout out Popo Daddy.
Hey, you're one of the very few people in history that could say they've stood next to Caleb and he stood next to you at the Olympic Games, competing, you know, for the highest prize in swimming, right? Like you guys were next to each other. So what's it like to compete against Caleb? You know, we don't get that perspective very often.
Yeah, don't look at him at the start. You if you try to base your race out of the start, you're gonna freak out. You're gonna swim like trash.
And having that in
But
your head already, knowing, you know, what's that like
see,
having
that's the
that?
thing. I was never the best start in the field, and I grew up competing against Cesar Cielo and Nick Santos,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Two
mm,
guys who had amazing starts. So since a very early age, I learned how to manage the race in a way where I knew for a fact that I wasn't gonna be fighting for gold in the first 10 to 15 meters,
right, right.
but I had a great chance from the 25.
Mm, mm,
So it's pretty much the same mindset, you know. And when we're there, we're all competitors. We're all pretty much the same level. You know, you cannot get to Olympic final and say there's inferior and superior swimmers, right? If you get to
mm.
the Olympic final, I mean, everybody there knows what they're doing. Everybody there is not, I mean, absolute extreme good shape, and we've done our homework, you know. So it's a great competitor. Is the Olympic champion, and eventually it's going to be the world record holder. I think it's the one who's the closest, but it's just another swimmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we allowed to talk about yet? Are we allowed to say whether you're committed to Paris or not yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just I went through a shoulder surgery last August and a cleanup to get scar tissue out of the way in late January. So that being my third and fourth shoulder surgeries, I'm really not trying to rush anything right now, you know. So you guys may not see me racing a whole lot this year, especially this summer. Maybe I'll be back in the water later this year for World Cups, U.S. Open. We have a national championship in Brazil, which is going to be trials for next year Worlds.
Mm,
It's going to happen in Doha, if I'm not wrong.
mm,
But I'm really not trying to rush things up. I mean, I'm 33 right now. I've seen pretty much it all. I've seen World Championships, Olympic Games, Pan American Games, a whole bunch of it. So it's I'm really trying to take care of my physical and mental health right now and make sure I'm fresh for next year.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Well, Megan, let's go to you. You just had a stint down in Australia, and I know we have kind of recapped the Australian championships. There was a little bit of confusion on this side of the wall between what was going on there. Like, what were the Australian championships as opposed to what's coming up in like 6 weeks from now?
Yeah, it was kind of like I mean, it was called the Australian Championships. So like you could, if you won, you won an Australian title.
Okay.
But it was more or less a bit of a nothing meet. It was
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
world trials coming up in Melbourne in just under 2 months. So
Right.
that's obviously the most important part. But everyone came, like all the big hitters were there.
Yeah.
There was some pretty quick swims by a few,
Yeah.
but a lot of them were in hard training, few drop tapers, and chatting to a few of them, they were like super tired. But I feel like swimming Australia is in a good little spot. The women's 100 freestyle was so
Oh,
stacked.
God. Wow.
Like
I
it
mean,
was
so stacked.
insane.
So stacked.
So
Speaking of that, we have Shayna Jack podcast coming out tomorrow, everybody. I'm super excited about that one. We had a chat late last week, recorded it, and some cool stuff in this podcast with Shayna Jack coming. But yeah, these women's 100 freestylers down there. Oh my God.
yeah, there was 7 under 53.7. So, and Kate Campbell, she's back. She's going for a 5th Olympics. So that was she went 50, yeah, she went 53.7. So in a second comeback swim, which was
Wow. In
pretty
full
cool.
training. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. You know when people say, "Oh yeah, I'm in a heavy load, I'm in full training," but then some people drop some crazy times. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you believe?
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like you can believe it all because everybody swims differently in hard training. Some people swim
Absolutely.
incredible. Bruno, our goal was always to be kind of in that 21 high mark, and then during taper we'd be down in the 21 low mark. So like we always had a goal of being in this range in season. So we kind of knew where we wanted to be and where we should be. And then, where we wanted to be and should be when we had more rest attached to that. But it was still super fast,
Yeah, especially for the 50, the name of the game is consistency, right? If you're a sprinter, if you're racing the 50 and you want to be at the 21 low mark,
right,
when you're tapered, 21.2, 21.1, 21 flat, you cannot be racing 22s. You cannot be almost a whole second in the 50. It's a universe.
Yeah.
It's light years behind, and you cannot be swimming 22. So you have to be consistently every time you step in the block. You have to be 21, right?
Yeah.
And if you're 21 mids, even better. And I think when you have heavy loads like this and you're trying to race, it's more of a mental game than physical itself. Because if you're so tired that you cannot race, there's something wrong with the program, at least in my experience. Because the whole point of the training of the program is to be race ready.
Yeah.
We're not training to be good at training. We're training to be good at racing,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's being consistent. I think it's more mental because sometimes you just let yourself go, you just find that as an excuse that you're so heavy, you're training so much and you're having so much yardage. And eventually you start feeling sorry for yourself because poor me, I'm so tired. I cannot sleep because I'm tired. I cannot wake up because I'm tired. So it's a little, in my experience, again, it's important to keep repeating that. In my experience, it's more about just, suck it up and race.
Awesome, good stuff. We're going to come back to Australia real quick because I want to touch more on this meet. But Ronnie, just in terms of goals, right, for master swimmers, how do you deal with aging up, right, and then balancing the training, and then kind of having goals of where you want to be and those expectations and being fulfilled at the end of it? I mean, not really knowing. Like, I think when you're a professional athlete, it's like, I want to be right there. But as you're aging up, you kind of lose track of where you should be or where you want to. How do you deal with goals?
Well, I think that's keeping everything in context and, trying to pull something out of it beyond the times, and that's something I never thought I'd say as a highly competitive person. Kind of what Megan was mentioning. I'm competitive with myself, and I've had to learn how to manage my expectations. But from this meet, for example, I had a rough start to it, and I was able to finish really well. So, in college, I made a bonus final in the 200 breast, and I scratched it. So mentally, I just didn't have the same strength that I have now.
Right.
And having these experiences are highly valuable. So people can translate this into their professional life. I mean, you might lose a job or have a relationship problem or something might come up in your life, and bouncing back from those setbacks is not just limited to the sport. And it's something that, I mean, even looking at Bruno dealing with your injury, I mean, this is a huge mental obstacle. You have the physical gifts to be there, but can you see someone at the master's level who is managing those things? I mean, you look at guys in their 50s and 60s, and they're managing a lot of injuries. I talked to Steve West, who is someone who I really look up to, and dealing with a groin issue. And as a breaststroker, I know what that's like. And, that's something hopefully maybe I can pass down to someone who isn't, I'm not going to break a world record this year, but maybe my experiences can help someone on that elite level. And if they have the open-mindedness to be inspired by what I do.
Yeah.
So I think that the motivation here is to, learn from what I do and pass that on to others. And the performance metric isn't always going to be there, but can you get into a bad situation and bounce back from it? I think that's universal.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That personal growth is highly valuable. That's a win for me.
Yeah. Megan, going back to Australia and maybe even touching on that aspect of it, there was a lot of talk about, again, one of our buddies, Bruno knows him real well, Cody Simpson, right? Like, and we talk about different levels of where people are at in training. There was a lot of talk about him and failure, right? Like there was so many of these news articles coming out about how he'd bombed and how he was off track for Paris now. And you talk about dealing with adversity. That guy's in the public domain, and they were just hammering him. But clearly he was in a different spot in his training. Yeah. Well, not in a different spot in his training, but responding differently to where he was in training than everybody, some other people. So it's like, but what was your take on that?
I think I actually think that the Australian media were like really harsh. Like I think I was like reading something the day after, and they're like, Cody Simpson blows his Paris 24 campaign in one night. I was like, oh my God, like leave the poor guy. We have not even entered 2024. But I think if you don't know anything about swimming, it is the Australian Championships. They probably didn't know that it wasn't trials, so it was like actually a nothing meet. But and chatting to Bowley, they were all super tired, super in heavy training. Like I think he said they did a main set Thursday night, had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, as in like easy, and then they all stood up and raced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I don't think Cody swam, too slow. He wasn't super fast, but I think he was really solid. I think he's right there. I think that 100 fly, though, that there's a couple of guys that kind of popped up at the Australian Championships and a couple of young guys. So that 100 fly is going to be pretty spicy come trials.
Yeah, we got this new armbuster kid, right? Who's the armbuster?
I did like the armbuster. I actually said that when I was commentating, and he really liked it. He loved it.
Good. Yeah, his name's not Armbuster, is it? What's his real name?
Nah, it's Armbruster. Armbruster.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he won the 50 free. He won the 50 fly, the 50 back. Yeah. And he's quick. Like he's pretty quick, but I think he was pretty fresh. But I think he's going to be right there for trials. He's not a big guy either. He's quite skinny, quite ripped. Cam McAvoy came back, won the 50 free. He has bulked up.
My boy Cammy.
He has put on some beef.
Oh, he's gone the other way. So Dressel's skinny, and then Cam's jacked.
Yeah, but I think like Cam going up and Dressel coming down, they're gonna meet around the same.
Oh, okay, they'll be in the middle.
The same spot,
it's exciting.
Right?
I love watching Cam swim. Like he is so like into all the physics stuff and technique, and he's so he's just kind of exciting to watch. And he's just a good human as well. So always a good chat. But I liked watching. I don't know if you saw Kai Taylor. So he's a young. He's only 19 years of age and just turned 19. He's actually the son of triple Olympian Haley Lewis.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he swims with Boxall, and he won the 200 free. Got second behind Kyle in the 100 free, and he's one to watch. Like, he is improving quickly. So
wow.
He's went 146 and 48 low, but he's improving super quick.
Damn. Oh,
So
he went that fast, did he? Jeez.
Yeah, he won the 200 free 146.6, and he's training.
Wow.
Pretty solid.
Wow.
We were talking about Cameron, and Cam is one of the guys I love racing against. There are a few guys that they're really hard to be competitive against because they're such cool people that you want them to succeed so bad. But at the same time, in order for you to succeed, you have to beat them.
You got to beat them, yeah.
So Cameron is the type of guy that I tried to talk to him only in the end of the meet after we already raced, because I mean, he's such a cool guy.
Yeah,
he was, and Kyle was pretty good too. He went 48.00, and I liked that. I really liked, and I told him, and he swam the 200 as well. Like, he went 147.3 in the 200 free. So didn't swim the final, but he was like, yeah, he feels good. He said he's, really good in the water. He's quite happy outside the water, which has really, really good to hear that mentally he's in a good spot. He's injury free. So he was, he was, got super fast, but he was solid. Didn't
Megan,
did
you know that Bruno and him have matching tattoos of each other?
Yeah, I did. I feel like the bromance is high. I feel like the bromance is really high.
Where is this tattoo, Bruno? Can we see it?
It's on my calf. I can try to.
Let's see Kyle Chalmers. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Where is it? I don't know. Where's my camera? It's somewhere here.
Yeah, there. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Wow. Kyle Chalmers on your leg. Nice.
Kyle, man. He's amazing.
Yeah, he swam good.
Actually, the Australian team, it's one of my favorites to hang out with. Australians and Italians and Brazilians. I think when we're all together at the meet, it's where we make the most noise, where we have the most fun. It's I love this guy.
It's good.
Yeah,
very good.
I love it. So, wow. So I was getting a lot of text messages from my American friends asking me, like, are they rested? What kind of meet is this? Like, they were all like freaking out of, like, trying to put it all in perspective. And so in terms of, 6 weeks from now, Megan, are we going to see some really, really fast swimming?
I actually think so. Like, the person that probably impressed me the most was Sammy Short and Kaylin McEwen. Sammy Short's only 19 and he dropped a 3:42.4 in the 400 free. Fourth fastest ever Australian, overtook Grant Hackett. So he's in really good form. And Kaylin McEwen, she, wasn't meant to be rested, but she went 2:08.1 in the 200 IM.
Kaylin McEwen's still impressing you, hey? After all she's done, she's still managing to impress you.
And then she won the 200 breaststroke. Like, she's a 200 backstroke world record holder. And then she's like, I'm not going to swim the 200 backstroke because it's on the same night as the 200 breaststroke. So she went out and went the 200 breaststroke and went 2:24, and then did the 200 freestyle the same night.
Wow.
So I actually would love to see her in the 400 AM with Summer McIntosh at Worlds, but is it going to happen? I'm not sure. I don't know if Kaylee wants to swim the 400 AM. So I don't know. She's impressive, and I think she's going to get the 100 backstroke world record again. She went 57.9, not rested. I think they're going to swim very, very quick at trials.
Kaylin McEwen's a stud. I had her on the show and she was doing some demonstrations for me, like with her arms and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, look at this girl's body. It's just like she's just built for swimming, So she is. She's going to do some freaky things, I think. She's a talent. And she's coached by Bowley, who is an incredible coach as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He's all right. That's very cool. Well, that's awesome. We've got a question here for Ronnie from Eric. Any tips for masters? A lot of master swimmers listen to us, and people probably maybe even wanted to take that plunge. What's the tip for getting back in as a master swimmer?
I think you just have to make a habit out of it, regardless of how often you go or how much time you put to each practice. I think I'm well known locally for my 15 to 20-minute workouts. Just if I need to get in, it's part of my routine. And I also think there's an archaic sense of what a team can be. And I don't think that, I love the master swimming community, and I think there's a lot of great training groups out there. But I don't think you need to be limited by, do you have a team to go to or not?
Yeah.
I train with powerlifters and weightlifters at the gym, and even bodybuilders. So my team is on the platform at the gym, and there's people that are chasing goals, not in my specific modality, but in their own sport, who I consider teammates. They just don't swim laps next to me.
Yeah.
They could be at your job. People are high performers wherever they're at. So if you get surrounded by that, it can inspire you, whether they're in swimming or not. I'm not sure their particular situation, but if you don't have a team, don't be limited by that. Don't keep yourself in a box, and don't think that you need to put in 90-minute workouts to have success. Just
Yeah.
if you can start out with something small. I think I'm reading the book Atomic Habits, which is about building habits and how you do it. And I think you need to make those habits easy. So, starting with a 10-minute workout, if it's something you can get into, make it as easy as possible to get into. Don't say you need to be in a master's team to go 60-minute workouts. That will provide a harder barrier to becoming consistent than if you just, buy a pool pass for a day and get in for 30 minutes. I know I've seen some childhood friends show up to the pool and do 20 to 30-minute workouts on their lunch, things like that. And if you can fit it in, I think that's more valuable than setting up those roadblocks that can prevent you.
Yeah. There we go, Megan. There's your tips.
Hey, that 20-minute workout, that sounds,
I like that.
I feel like I can do that.
Yeah.
Warm up and leave.
That
It's nice.
Microdosing, they
sounds
call
good.
that. You get in, you do a little bit, you leave, come back, do a little bit. You just kind of microdose.
Brett, I think you should make a comeback for sure in Masters.
Yeah, absolutely not.
We tried
I
talking
think you can.
about it a few years back.
Yeah.
didn't
We
work.
dabbled with it, and then it was like I did one workout. I was like, oh no, this is not for me. I'm not. I'm kind of like you, Megan. Is that I'm probably hyper competitive. Super competitive. So if I do something, I'm just going to go all in and try and murder. Like I'm not gonna. I can quite happily sit back and talk about it and observe it and like cheer people on. But if you put me up next to that same person that I'm talking about and cheering on, I'm gonna want to cut their throat. Like it's just that's the way it is. So it's like probably best just to sit on the sideline, Brett. Hey, we do need to talk about the Swim Nerd newsletter, because he does send it to me and anyone else that signs up. Sign up to the Swim Nerd newsletter. Please get on that. But basically, he put out some information on the Polish nationals, but also the Turkish national. I want to start with that. This is probably not the right group to talk about this, but a 15-year-old went under 15 minutes in the 1500. So, Bruno, we're seeing a lot of people swim under 15 minutes these days, man. Even 15-year-olds are getting under. What's going on in the world?
Damn.
So inflation, man. That's what's going on. So inflation is going on heavily.
This guy's name's Kuzi Tuncelli. I'm sorry if I messed that up. That's the best I could do. Kuzi Tuncelli from Turkey. 15-year-old. He went 14:56 to set a Turkish national record, and he's under 15 minutes. Woo.
That's an exciting time to be involved with swimming, because people are just figuring out ways of swimming faster in every single event. It's natural that we get faster. It's natural that the sports get better. And it's, as I said, it's really exciting to watch all these fast times, and me still being competing and still being active. I mean, it gets me going, gets me fired up.
Yeah.
That's why I think we put a lot of emphasis on these younger athletes swimming fast like Summer. But what about when we learn how to extend that? So we've found how to get athletes exposed to that training earlier. How can we find a way to get athletes to sustain this longer on the other end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, but we kind of figure part of the issue out in Brazil, because I think we have the oldest Olympic team by far, right? We don't have
Brazil is awesome.
we don't have a lot of medals in our team, but we have a lot of performances, very good performances in our team. I mean, myself, I got my first Olympic medal at 32. My first World Championship medal came, I was 26 or 27, something like that. And I think the key word is investing in the athlete, right? Not only financially, but investing a lot of time and dedication in the athlete in order to make the whole thing a little more professional. Because if you see in the United States, we have great infrastructure and great staffs when the athlete's in college. But as soon as the athlete finishes college around the age of 23, 20 something, they're left out there. They have to ask to be in the pool with the college team. They have to figure out ways of keep training, of keep supporting themselves. And in Brazil, we have this whole infrastructure of the swim club that it's not perfect. It's not always great, but they make sure they provide the environment for the athlete to develop itself. And we have great coaches. We have nutritionists. We have weightlifting coaches and everything, physical therapists. You really need a physical therapist and a doctor when you're trying to swim, extend your career. And I take pride of saying that we do it really well back home in Brazil.
Speaking of doing it really well, look at this son of a bitch. Hey, Sonny, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, I've literally just got off
Hey,
deck,
mate.
between heats and finals, and I thought I'd come say hi.
Yeah.
On a Monday.
Yeah, that's
it's
just
bank holiday
rude
here,
of
so it's
me.
like public holiday, 3-day meet, Saturday,
Wow.
Sunday, Monday.
Wow. Okay. What kind of meet is it? Age group, you said?
Yeah, so it's like the regional championship. So it's like the whole southwest of England, which is like the equivalent of a small town in the US or whatever. We're a smaller country than you Aussies and Americans, and well, I don't know. Brazil's pretty big as well, I'm pretty sure. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you came in because it's made the screen small so we can actually look at we've got a couple of new sponsors, everybody. I'm pretty excited about this. So we've got our Destro machines up top. We've got our Swim Angel Fish. We've got Brada, PA, and our Biney Wellness and our Vasa trainers. But now we have Imagine Swimming coming out of New York. And then we have the Swim Strong Dryland. The guys have been on the podcast as well. So, yeah, kind of cool to have some support for the podcast. And listen, we love doing this and we love having the guests and everything, but it's nice to be able to make a little bit of money on the side and kind of support businesses that are in the swim industry as well. So we appreciate it. So anybody that's out there listening, if you want to jump on any of these supporters, good people, I'm telling you, look into them, and we'll talk more about them. I just want to at least mention that up front, so.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, man, I remember a couple of years back, actually more than a couple of years back, we were heading back from training, something like that, and you just turned to me out of the blue and said, hey, I think I want to start a podcast. And here we are.
Here we are, man. 3 years later with sponsors. Yeah, Vision. Yeah.
And it didn't even see that comes that brings up what he talked about being competitive, because it's not only a podcast, but it's the biggest podcast, the better podcast, right? The best podcast in the entire world when it comes to swimming. So really cool.
Well, I think the thing that is still unique, and I'm glad no one else has fully caught on to this yet, but like, look at us right now. We're in England, we're in California, we're in Miami, we're in Boston, and you're out in Dubai. It's like, this is incredible. I mean, we're literally sitting all over the world right now and just having this chat. We've got people from all over the world. I don't really know where Pedro's from, but look, Pedro's in the chat, like he's somewhere. Like, it's just wild. How cool is this,
Yeah, and that makes me curious, Megan. How is the swimming community in Dubai? How does that all work?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've been to a few different countries. So I'm based out of Dubai, and then we're heading into Georgia and Azerbaijan, and there's some pretty different countries to what I'm used to with swimming. But in Dubai, it's pretty solid. There's a lot more though triathletes. So swimming training is pretty good. And there's a few, like, obviously international schools. So that's pretty big. I've been doing a few swim clinics with some different international schools. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I think I was surprised actually to see how developed some of their swimming technique and stuff is. I wasn't surprised at some of the facilities. Like they're pretty amazing, and they're pretty top of the art. So that was no surprise at all. But yeah, it's going pretty good.
And
Pretty solid.
Chadwick trained there for a while, right?
Yeah, he was here for a little bit. I don't know where he is now, but it's a pretty good spot. It's always pretty hot. We're going into summer, so it's probably not the best time to be here now. But yeah, I mean, the best time to be here is probably winter. We're just coming out of it. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good spot too that you can base. You can go Europe, you can go back to Australia. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, I love it. Just quickly back on the Swim Nerd newsletter, because I know he puts a lot of hard work into this, Sonny. Is there anything you want to touch on from the Polish nationals at all? I know you're good with pronunciations of names. You can help us.
All I know is my boy Casper drew with the other lad, Kasseri Małazit. No, I can't do it.
I told you, he's good with names. I told you.
The two Polish guys tied in the 100 backstroke, which is pretty cool. But one of the guys that tied also won the 50 and 200 for the sweep. Do you think, Megan, backstrokers are definitely better at doing 50 to 200 than other strokes, right? Like, there's no one who could sweep the 50, 100, 200 breast freestyle or fly. But backstroke, you kind of get the guys do the triple. Ryan Murphy can do the 3. The Russians can do the 3.
Yeah, like Kelly McEwen can do 50, 100, 200. But also, like, Emma McKeon, she won the 50, 100, obviously freestyle at Olympics. But she can swim 200 freestyle. She swam 200 freestyle at Opens. And she can do all 3. I think it's depending on if you've got the natural speed in the 50 and 100. So if you got that natural speed, it's okay. But if you don't have the speed, it's obviously going to be a bit harder in the shorter events. But well, backstroke, maybe because it's just the best stroke. That's
wow, the best stroke, Bruno. Backstroke, the best stroke.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't
know anyone whoever bought tickets to watch backstroke or whatever. Who's the fastest in the pool?
Well, I think there's
the debate is time.
All the other events were that's why the 50 is in the end of the meet, because all the other events just to build anticipation for the fastest swimmer in the water. It's not the best pacer or whatever, but but it's fun too.
I think those short axis strokes have such technical distinctions between the 50 and 200. Like a 50 butterflyer has probably different technical qualities than a 200 butterflyer, and same for a 50 to 200 breaststroker, where the long axis strokes, I mean, you just have to pretty much control tempo.
There we go. See, that's it. That's from the master swimmer right there. Couldn't agree any more than that. I love it.
Although, Brett, I don't know what you'd do in a 200, so
I know what I do. I would be beat by Maureen Kornfeld. All right, the 101-year-old. She went 3 minutes and 33 seconds in the 100 backstroke. That's probably where I'd be.
Bless her. What a legend.
Shout out to Maureen at 101 years old, racing 100 back. Did you watch that, Ronnie? Did you watch her swim?
Yeah. The crowd erupted like it was a world record, because it is, again, in context, that is absolutely phenomenal.
101-year-olds racing, not just in there floating around. She's racing.
Did she have a race
that makes guys like us feel like a baby. So
did she have a tech suit on?
Yeah.
It's kind of, what a tech suit can be for a 101-year-old. I think it was. There's some modifications there.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's so cool.
Love it.
All right. Well, listen, there's not much else I wanted to chat about. So if there's any couple of quick questions in the chat here, we might add a couple before we jump here. We got about 10 minutes maybe. So anybody in the chat want to jump on and ask some questions of anybody here, that would be very cool. Sonny, real quick, what's coming up in your area on the top end side? Is there any major meets coming up for any of those guys?
No, there's obviously the Mare Nostrum series.
Mare Nostrum.
Coming up in about 3 weeks' time. They're fun. I love that meet. I know Bruno's done it in the past. And then there's also the AP, the Adam Peaty Invitational in the London Aquatic Centre at the end of May. I'm going to that with some of my swimmers. So that should be a pretty fast meet. Most people are sort of bolting that onto Mare Nostrum, so they'll go straight from Mare Nostrum, fly over to the UK and race that one as well. I don't know if Adam will race that one. It's kind of his meet. But he'll at least make money from that meet, which is good for him.
Bruno, here's a question. Straight arm for a slim, tall person.
I don't know. I don't see the connection. But make sure you know what you're doing. It's really easy to hurt your shoulders doing straight arm. I know that's experience talking. And yeah, sure. If it works for you, I end up trying straight arm because that's what worked for me. There's no rule, there's not, don't try to replicate what other swimmers do just for the sake of it. Just try to find what works best for you. And if you think straight arm can help you, just go for it.
Yeah. Another question for Bruno. What's your favorite moment as your coach? You probably have some worse moments, maybe, but what's your favorite?
No, I have amazing moments. It's hard to pick one, actually, but I think the thing with Brad, I'm not gonna say just one moment. What made Brad a great coach is that, let's pretend he's not in the room right now. It's just the fact that he acted like he was performing too. He was not just sitting. He was not just sitting at the deck and just whistling and clocking times. He was actually performing with us during practice. So I think great coaches, they usually know there's a big percentage in the athletes' performance that comes from their influence. So every time you get into practice and you're a little tired, you're a little, you don't feel like going, and I used to see like Brad being so energetic and motivational and just there with us and trying to perform and want us to swim fast. I mean, that would be everything I needed to push a little harder. So yeah,
love it.
There are a few interesting moments as
yeah,
well.
we had some interesting moments. Yeah.
Sorry, just look at this. In Brazil, a 99-year-old done a 200 fly. And Bruno, you know this. Brazilians don't peak till they're at least in their mid-50s. So this is probably a continuation of that. Like, you're about 10 years away from your peak, Bruno.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now things are hurting all right. So I don't want to think 10 years from now. But yeah, I was just talking earlier about how Brazil figured out a way of extending careers and making swimming a little more professional than most countries around the world. But I'm not sure about 50s. What I know is that I talk daily to Nick Santos. And if he won it, he could be the first 50-year-old to swim a world championship and even fight for it, because the guy's looking in better shape than he looked last year when he retired right now. I mean, he's just a unit.
Yeah, he is a unit. You're right. What about this one for you, Ronnie? Do you race? You talked about this breaststroke trying no breathing. How is no breathing go for you?
I think it depends on the quality of your breath and what your body can handle.
Right.
If you're, I think learning technique of the breath is a thing. But as far as going hypoxic as an older athlete, I don't feel it affect me. On the end of my 100 IM, I took 2 breaths coming home on the last 25. So maybe there's some more mental grit there where you can just put your head down and go. I think when I was younger, I felt like I had to breathe. Maybe I was a little softer mentally, but it's really up to you. And does the body really shut down? I think from the science of it, your ATP creatine phosphate system can last that long. So I don't know if breathing is absolutely essential. It might affect you in your future races if you go really hypoxic, but watching
Yeah.
what Dressel did on the last 25 of his 100 fly, no breath, that's something trainable. And I don't think age really has a limit. It's more about, can you mentally handle it?
Yeah. Megan, you got some inside info here. Is Kyle Chalmers actually really going to swim 400s and 800s in the future?
I have no idea, and I would say highly doubtful 400 and 800. But hey, he's He's a bit of a tradie now. He said he picked up the tools and he's working 2 days a week on the tools with his mate Matty Temple, with the coolest mullet I've seen. And I think he's just enjoying like outside of swimming, which I think as athletes, like if you're happy outside of swimming, you're usually swimming pretty happy and pretty fast inside swimming. So I think for him, I mean, he's from the 200 free. I don't know if he's swum a 400 or an 800 freestyle. I guess I can't. I'm not going to answer for him, but I would probably say no. He's not going to swim the 400, 800. But who knows? He likes to surprise everyone. So he's a bit of a character, and why not? If his shoulders are okay,
he's definitely
good. Let's go, Kyle. Team Kyle right here. Let's go, baby. We can do it. But one thing I'm gonna say about Kyle is that we're all really lucky. I feel real lucky he's not trying to invest in the 50, because if that guy wanted, he could be a great 50 freestyler. What he does short course, he swims. Crazy fast time short course, and he breathes every other stroke. So I think Kyle could be an amazing 50 freestyler if he wanted.
Well, he's putting some investment in the 100 fly right now. I think we all know why, but he's doing that one.
And even at nationals, the 100 fly. But I just love watching Kyle swim because he, I feel like he's such a racer. Like in the 100 free, I think he was in lane 2 in the final at nationals, and he just loves to race. Like he was just kind of almost like, playing with the other swimmers, like, I'll let you guys go out. I'm just going to chase you guys all on the way home. And it was just like, I don't know, it just looks fun for him again, which is really exciting. It looks like he's enjoying swimming and it's fun for him to swim again. So I think, that's when you see the best swimmers, when they're having fun and they're enjoying it. So I'm excited. I was really excited to see Kyle and the smile on his face again, which is really good.
I watched this incredible documentary on Netflix. Highly recommend. I watched last night, and I felt like I was just watching Kyle Chalmers. Like it was a documentary on Kyle Chalmers, but it's called Chimp Empire, and it's about these group of chimps in Africa who are up against another group of chimps, and they've got like the alpha male chimps, and I felt like Kyle Chalmers was the alpha male of the chimp group, really, actually, it's a very, very cool documentary. You guys should watch it, Chimp Empire. But here's one for Sonny. What about this one? Is this world record going to count that we saw the other day?
We can't really determine that. I don't know. It depends if they had WADA drug testers at the meet. Clement Klesnikov's 50 short course record has not been validated as of yet, so it doesn't bode well for this. But I really hope it does, because it was by far the best swim in history. But what I will say is Evgenia will swim faster than that, hopefully at a meet that's, international soon.
That's a big call.
Yeah.
The best swim in history. That's a big call, Sonny.
No, in that event. Sorry.
The
best. The world record. Yeah, it's a world record, so it is officially the best swim in history. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, not the best, not the absolute best swim ever. God.
I was like,
it went a little bit overboard.
I make some ridiculous statements, but not that ridiculous.
This is kind of a ridiculous statement. Who is this woman? Megan, who is this woman?
Are you talking about me?
I guess you're the only woman on the podcast, so it's like someone's like, who is this woman? Do you not watch Did you not see my podcast with Megan? Her life story? Come on.
Yeah, watch my podcast.
Go back and watch it. Then you'll find out. Do some research. Jeez, who is this woman?
Who was that? Who was that?
Exactly. Who was that? Who was third in Margarita? I have no idea. What else we got here? There was something else. What's this one say? Cutest bromance. Okay, yeah, that's a cute bromance. What about this one from Gian? Deepest belief they can beat him in the 400. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess they're pushing up on that 400 free world record now. It's not going to be long before we see somebody under that 340 mark. Yeah.
Well, that's why going back to Chalmers, to go sub 340, you need speed. So I don't know if it's going to come from a distance swimmer coming down. Probably going to have to come from a person who swims the 100 and 200 willing to stretch it. And because, I mean, that's in order to be fast, you have to be fast. And it's hard to get under Biederman's records without having some speed. And so I think Chalmers, if you're listening, man, we need to see that 400 record go down. And yeah, Bruno doesn't want you in the 50, so might as well bump up.
Oh no, my screen froze. Did it really freeze? What happened?
Yeah.
Look at Brett's smile. He's just frozen a perfect grin.
That's a good way to freeze.
Brett needs a shave. Come on, Brett. Give yourself a shave. Jeez.
Guys, we've not spoke about this. I thought you might have. That's why I didn't bring it up. But Han Zhanli swam a 47.2 today in China.
Ooh, nice.
That's quick.
Very quick.
Schubert's working some magic over there.
He's a distance coach. Is he working with the sprinters?
I mean, he could have influence all across the board. I mean, that's a serious swim. That's something.
47.2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real quick.
That's quick.
This is a serious smile as well. Look at that.
Right.
Dude, what is going on? I can see it too. I'm like, what happened? I felt like I'm here, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to reset. Maybe I'll have to get out of it.
That's the smile because he's having a comeback for sure. He's making a comeback in swimming.
Brett's making a
did
comeback.
you not hear this, Sonny? Yeah.
Stop
in the 200.
No, Brett's not making a comeback. Let's not.
Want this
Going
so
over the
bad.
200 free.
I don't know what happened.
No, he's gone again. But while he's gone, we have splits from this Chinese lad. 22.9,
That's a back half.
24.2.
Wow. See, that
that's
could be
the
where
thing. After I remember we were in 2019 and 47 was still something special. And then everything shut down for COVID. And then when we all came back, everybody was swimming a 49. Everybody was coming back in 24 lows. So I don't know what the hell these people were doing, what type of vaccines they took. But but everybody's coming back in 24 lows now. What the hell is happening? I mean, going down in 22.9, it's not that hard to do. But coming back in 24.2, that's very, very impressive. Here it is.
I'm back, fools. There we go. Thanks for having me.
I want to ask here, what are the chances of Popovici winning the 100 free in Paris? I mean,
really, really good.
Like nine out of 10.
Like really good.
I'm gonna say pretty high.
Yeah, pretty high. I mean,
what are the chances that the world record holder and world champion win his event a year from now?
Yeah. What are the chances that a 17-year-old who broke the world record is going to be faster when he's 18 and 19? Pretty good. Yeah. Pretty
good. Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, he's quick. And he's good. And he's a good man. We like him. We need to get him back on the show at some point. He's just a good man. I love chatting.
He's smart, man. He's smart.
If
you have a 5-minute conversation with him, that kid is extremely intelligent.
Well, yeah. Bruno, you know this. Sometimes the Olympics comes down to experience. And, you could be the best on paper, but it's who gets their hand on the wall. And that can come down to who has it mentally and who's been there, done that.
Yeah. Experience plays a role in it, but the Olympics are the hardest meets to swim because you're usually in a village. So first of all, it happens every 4 years, right? So you've got to make sure you peak at the right time. You have to have perfect timing with your program, but also because you're in a village. Usually the beds are not great. The AC not always work. You go to the dining hall, you have to walk and be standing up for a little over an hour to get a plate of food. The food that you'll be eating for the last month, it's not the best. Usually it's really greasy and really salty, and you need to get used to it as well. In order to get to the pool, you have to walk to the bus station. It's not always really near. You have to ride the bus, and it's a really stressful environment. So that's why you have to be you have to have your mental game really prepared and really ready to go there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, listen, we're at the hour mark. We won't like to wrap it up right now. It's been a fun show. Thanks, guys. Lots to talk about. Good stuff. Appreciate you guys joining again. We'll see you next week, eh?
Thanks for having me
Thanks,
on, Brett.
legends.
So
Later,
y'all
guys.
have fun. Don't go too crazy.